Hi everyone, I'm Melissa. Welcome back to cloudmom.com. This is week 36 of your pregnancy. 2 of my 6 babies were born during week 36. 1 baby was born at 37 and a half weeks, my first baby Headley. My 2 girls were born at 35 weeks, and Bracy, my 6th child, was born at 30 weeks. So don't assume at 36 weeks that you definitely have 4 more weeks to go. You don't know that for sure, and that argues all the more so for getting as organized as you can be when it comes to your baby. So anyway, with all that said, let's take a look at week 36. At week 36, your baby weighs 6 pounds, is 18.5 inches long, and is about the size of a Swiss chard. In the same way that you've been resting and getting ready for the arduous process of labor, your baby is basically doing the same. Your baby's growth has declined significantly, which is important to ensure that your baby can manage to make his way through the birth canal. Your baby's digestive system is still under construction and will be until about 2 years of age. Up until now, your baby really hasn't been digesting much of anything, and upon birth will only be able to tolerate liquid breast milk or formula. Your baby's face is looking fuller thanks to the added fat deposits that will have been added, and due to all the sucking practice that they've done on their thumb while they've been in your tummy, they will be in a position to be sucking from either your breast or a bottle once they enter our world. Diet, I'm going to quickly say the do's and don'ts. No alcohol, no unpasteurized cheeses, no raw fish, no fishes that are high in mercury, no cold cuts. Stick to very nutritious foods that are high in all the nutrients that you need. I have a very full list on my site. I go through this every week, and I have a lot of recipe tips, which I hope are very simple for you guys. Doctor's appointments. At this stage, you're having a weekly doctor's appointment. Your doctor's going to be checking your weight. He will be checking your blood pressure, most likely checking your urine for sugar or protein. Sugar could be an indication of gestational diabetes, and protein could unfortunately be an indication of preeclampsia. Your doctor will be looking at your wrists and at your ankles to make sure that you're not too swollen, which also could be an indication of preeclampsia. And your doctor will be checking your belly to try to get an indication of your baby's size and your baby's position. You might also have a biophysical profile, which I explain in week 26, a contraction stress test, which I explain in week 28, fetal acoustic stimulation, which I explain in week 28, or a non-stress test, which I also explain in week 28. An ultrasound might be offered to you at this point, which will depend on whether you are expecting multiples, whether you are at risk for preterm labor, maybe some spotting has occurred, maybe your doctor's keeping a very close look at your cervix the way they did with mine because of my history of preterm labor. So all those things might argue for an ultrasound, which could also be performed at this week. You also at some point will have a GBS screening, which is going to check for a certain type of bacteria that could be in your vagina. If you have this, you likely will be administered antibiotics during labor to make sure that your baby does not get this bacteria. I want to take a moment to talk about breech babies because this can cause a lot of anxiety. There are many different ways in which your baby could be oriented and hanging out in your belly, and all of these are considered breech if it's likely that the head will be the last thing to pass through the birth canal. There are a lot of different remedies you might read about when it comes to breech babies. With the vast majority of these home remedies, there is absolutely no evidence that they work, but you can try them in case they make you feel better. The one thing that has been shown to work in over half of the cases is something that's called ECV, which stands for external cephalic version. It's basically a technique whereby your physician will encourage your baby to somersault into the correct position. This procedure has been shown to work in over 50% of the cases. However, in some cases, the baby will revert back to the breech position. If your baby remains in the breech position, you will be having a C-section because the priority, of course, is making sure that you deliver a totally healthy baby. Here's a checklist for week 36. Be on the lookout for signs of labor, which I'm going to discuss more thoroughly during week 37. Schedule your next week's OB appointment. Make sure you have a baby name. Make sure your hospital bag is ready to go. Wash your baby's sheets and clothing using organic liquid baby detergent. Stretch out and do some light exercise to keep yourself feeling good. And purchase a few button-down shirts, which are great for nursing. See you guys back next week for week 37.